everyone, I'm here today to show you what my July TBR is looking like. We're doing a few fun things this month, which I will go into shortly. I just wanted to share what we're planning on reading. It's quite an ambitious one again, because I still don't know when I'm going back to work, and so we thought we might as well try and squeeze in as much as we can at the beginning of the month. Quite a few short books, quite a few non-fiction titles, so let's get on with it. One of the priorities for us this month is to read Arsenic for Tea and First Class Murder by Robin Stephens. These are books 2 and 3 in the Murder Most Unladylike series. The last book is coming out, I believe, at the beginning of August, might be the middle of August, so we're going to try and catch up with the series so that we can read it quite close to its release date. I've read them before up to Death in the Spotlight. Sean hasn't read them yet, so I'm reading them with him. But we read Murder Most Unladylike in June and we managed to read it in one sitting in like a few hours, so we're hoping that we'll be able to get these two out of the way quite quickly. Borrowing them from the library app, so we just have to eagerly wait for them to become available. We're also planning on picking up The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. This is book 2 in the Wheel of Time series. We have nearly finished book 1 and it's just, they're really easy to digest. Like, I thought, based off of the size of them, the fact that they're like, the first one's like 700 pages. This is also 700 pages. Despite the fact that they're really, really chunky, they're really easy to digest, and it's just a nice world that you can dip in and out of. So we're reading a couple of chapters each day. We're hoping that we're going to finish this one, possibly start book 3, because we've got the first few ready to read. If you don't know anything about the Wheel of Time series, there are 3 boys who are kind of being chased by a thing. The big bad, yeah, that's basically as far as we've gotten. They're running and they're in trouble, and one of them is being targeted, but they don't know which one because they're all of a similar age, of a similar kind of like, they can't come from the same village, similar backgrounds, so they don't know which boy is kind of being followed at this point. So we're following Rand, Althor, Perrin and Matt as they're kind of being chased, and they're picking up people along the way, and it's just a really fun series, considering that it's like really chunky. They're just really enjoyable, which is why we want to carry on with the next one fairly soon. Yeah, the side characters, they're like a really good like little ragtag bunch. So you've got like kind of the witchy lady, you've got like a armoured man who is strong, you've got like an ogre coming into it. Yeah, it's a really good fun so far. We're also hoping to pick up Point Blank by Anthony Horowitz. This is the second book in the Alex Rider series. So Alex Rider is a series that follows a boy who's working for MI5 or 6, I can't remember. It's been a while since we read the first one, like 2 months, but it's lockdown, so 2 months feels like 7 years. This has recently been released on Amazon Prime as a series. The second book in particular is the one that's focused on in that, which is why we thought we might as well carry on with the series now. We've also got The Mall by Megan McCafferty and Mayhem by Estelle Law, which are 2 blog tours that I'm taking part in July. I'm not sure on my date for the Mayhem tour yet, but The Mall I'm going to be posting up on the 12th of July, I believe. So I'll link that down below if this goes up after that, but I can't imagine that it will, or I'll like edit it in at some point. As far as I'm aware, The Mall is like a coming of age kind of YA story about people going to the mall, which sounds nice and fun and light. And Mayhem is kind of like Lost Boys, but with like magical girl and like a magical mother. Yeah, interested to discover more about what they're both about. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're also planning on reading some non-fiction this month, and those titles include The Fire This Time, which is a selection of essays from young people about their experiences with racism. I believe it's like solely in America, but I might be wrong because I haven't had a chance to read it yet. They Can't Kill Us All by Wesley Lowery, which is the story of how the Black Lives Matter movement kind of began and the way that it kick-started and became what it is today. We've got How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi, and that is a book that is kind of about improving the way that you tackle people who are racist, and not just being against racism, but like actively being against it, if that makes sense. Again, haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I've seen a lot of recommendations for that one over the last few weeks, especially with everything that's been going on in America at the moment. I'm going to link the Black Lives Matter card down in the description, so if you are interested in signing any petitions, or if you've got any spare money and you can donate to any of like the causes that they are championing, then if you could do that, that would be wonderful. We've also got My Mother, Barack Obama, Donald Trump and the Last Stand of the Angry White Man by Kevin Powell, which again is essays based on Kevin Powell's experiences in America. And off of the kind of Black Lives Matter movement, we've got Difficult Women by Helen Lewis, which is 11 fights that kind of founded feminism. So that's something that's obviously gonna interest me. These are all being borrowed through the library app, which is why we don't physically have any of them. But they had a really good kind of day in the middle of the month when they uploaded loads of new non-fic titles. So I reserved as many of them as quickly as I could, because it's been a while since there's been non-fiction on there that I've really had to read. We're also planning on taking part in Becca's Bookoplathon, which is a 48-hour readathon between the 11th and the 12th. So it starts at midnight on the 11th and finishes at like a minute to midnight on the evening of the 12th. So far, she's only released 2 prompts. I'll link the video down below with the announcement. But one of the prompts was to have a chance card. So a random number generator chose me to read Dear Martin by Nick Stone. I'm not completely sure what Dear Martin is about. As far as I'm aware, somebody who is black gets arrested, and I believe they're innocent, and it's kind of looking at why they've been arrested, why they were targeted, like the story that goes on behind it. It's very, very thin, so I'm really glad that the chance was this one, because it's going to be a nice, quick, easy one to read in one sitting. And I also do have the sequel on my NetGalley, so I've been planning on reading this quite soon anyway, so that I can get Dear Justice read as well. I also just think it's such a brilliantly kind of timely book to read at the moment. So I'm glad that this one came up, and I'm looking forward to taking part in the Bookoplathon. And now we get on to the more scary bit of the TBR, because I've asked my mum to pick 5 books from her home for us to read. And I don't know why I thought this was a good idea, because like, I know I'm probably going to love them, because my mum reads a lot of like crimes and thrillers, but like this year I've been reading so many crime thriller books that have been disappointing me, so I just kind of wanted some recommendations that were for ones that I know somebody I trust thinks are really, really good. But I'm a bit nervous because I don't know what she's picked. So I've made her hide them in a bag for us so that we could kind of uncovered them just in case. So they've been sat in this bag for a few days. And also means that it's a nice surprise. So I guess we're going to dive in and have a rummage in the bag. And I'm really worried. Like, as you can see, super professional. Good old Morrison's carrier bag filled with books. So, let's find out together. Okay, so the first book is The Crucifix Killer by Chris Carter. Now, I think this is actually mine, because like I bought these and was like intending to read them at some point, and I was like, you can read them, Mum. Let me know what you think. As far as I'm aware, this is a crime book set in America. Yes, it's LA. I like American crime more than UK crime normally, so that is a good thing. Oh, a girl is found naked, strung from 2 wooden posts, the skin ripped from her face while she was still alive. On the nape of her neck is carved a strange double cross, the signature of a psychopath known as the Crucifix Killer. And it sounds really interesting. It's quite a chunky one, so that will be fun to see how this goes. This is also the first book. She said they were all the first book in a series, so I'm hoping it is. This is the first book in Chris Carter's series following Robert Hunter. I was going to say Robert. I knew the detective was Robert, just couldn't remember the surname. And I've got quite a few of those ones. We've actually got some here. So I've been meaning to start this series, and I will be. It's a good first pick. I like that. God, okay. Oh, I'm getting nervous now. Book 2 is... I knew it! So, yeah, when we went over to pick them up, Mum was like, I need to go upstairs and find a book. And I said, sure, when we were in the car on the way home. Like, it was the first book in the Power 5 series, and it was. So this is Raven's Gate. This is by Anthony Horowitz, which means we're reading 2 Anthony Horowitz books this month. That's good. I don't really know anything about this series. I just say that Mum bought me the first 3 when I was like 7 or 8, and I never read them, and then I ended up giving them back to her because she read them and she loved them. So he always knew he was different. First there were the dreams, then the deaths began. That is a very good tagline. And I know that I enjoyed Anthony Horowitz's writing in Stormbreaker, so hopefully I'll also enjoy this one. And this one's only 5 books in this series. Like, the Alex Rider series just goes and goes and goes. So this one will be a lot easier to get through, even though I know the last 2 books are, like, massive. Oh, Lord. Pick number 3. Eeny meeny! Yes! Okay, so I was hoping that she was going to pick this one as well. It is a chunker, so I'm also kind of sad that she picked this one because we've got a really ambitious TBR already and these are looking really fat. I thought the bag looked quite shallow for 5 books, that was a lie. So this is the first book in MJ Ardage's series, and this follows Detective Helen Grace. The girl emerged from the woods barely alive. Her story was beyond belief, but it was true. Every dreadful word of it. I've been meaning to start this series because I keep requesting the new ones on NetGalley because I'm a mess when it comes to NetGalley, and somebody needs to take the request button away from me. So I've got like...
I keep trying.
Yeah, Sean keeps trying to stop me and I'm not stopping. I think I've got from the 4th one onwards on my NetGalley and I haven't even read the first one yet. So I've been planning on reading these really soon so I can catch up and read them. And now I am. Mostly, I'm very, very excited for this one because I love the cover. I think they're so gorgeous, these books. I did buy them a few years ago, mostly because of the covers, and we spent far more than we probably should have in a charity shops, but they're like brand new condition, so that is a-okay. So we are ready for book number 4. The Girl in the Ice by Robert Brinzer. Okay, I was wondering if this one was going to end up in there, but I wasn't sure if it was the first one in a series, which is why I was like, oh, I'm not going to guess that one. So this is a self-published, or it's like an independently published book. I believe he's now been picked up by a mainstream publisher because he was really, really popular on Kindle Unlimited. I might be making all of that up, but I can remember I did a blog post collaboration with Mum a few years back, and she picked her favourite authors for me. It was like a Top 10 Tuesday topic. And he was one of them, so I can remember looking into him at the time. Her eyes are wide open, her lips parted as if to speak, her dead body frozen in the ice. She's not the only one. I mean, I'm really interested in it, so I'm glad that this one's been picked as well. Apparently it's perfect for fans of Angela Marston's, Rachel Abbott and Karen Slaughter, of which I've read one Karen Slaughter book and I loved it. Bought all of them, never read another one. And I think we own basically all of Angela Marston's books as well, and I don't think either of us have read any of them. So we need to be getting on our crime game, and this is gonna help it. Yeah, really interested in this one. Thank you, Mum. And then the last one, of which I've got no idea because that's basically all the books that I know Mum's likes that have been picked. Oh lord. Feels thin. Okay, so this is The Walking Dead Rise of the Governor. First book in a novelisation series of the Walking Dead books. I have read this one back in either 2010 or 2011. It was like pre-blogging, but it was like after I'd started watching the series, and I really, really enjoyed it. But the series has been carried on, so I think I read the first 1 or 2, and then they brought out like a 2-parter for the 3rd one, so I was waiting for part 2 to be released, and then I never bought it. And then they've carried it on with more characters afterwards, unless I'm making that up. And I've been wanting to reread them so that I could get back on top of it, because I stopped watching The Walking Dead just before Sophia was born. No, just after Sophia was born. The last episode I saw would have been probably the day before she was born, because we used to go over and watch it with Mum. And then we had children and it was much harder to get there. So... yeah, I haven't watched an episode since way back, really behind on it, but I've been kind of wishing I could get back into the world, so this is going to be a really great way to do that. So thank you for picking this one, Mum. I'm really excited, especially because I know this one's a really quick read, so that makes up for the fact that some of the other ones are a little bit chunkier. So that looks like that experiment went really, really well, which I'm glad about. But now we've got the TBR bucket, because stupidly I was like, oh, it's a really short TBR, because I hadn't thought about the fact that like most of them are on the library app, so of course it looks like there's hardly anything here because we've got all of them to read not physically. But we're picking 5 out of the bucket anyway. It's probably going to go terribly. I think last month was the worst month that I've had so far. Perhaps the first month, because I did have a DNF then, but like last month I had 2 that I probably should have DNF'd and I was too stubborn to. So let's hope that we get some better ones this time. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. First pick. Permanent Record. Thank you, Lord. This is by Mary H.K. Choi. So Permanent Record is about a boy who works in like a bodega, and this famous pop star comes in, and she's like, he doesn't know who she is, I think, or maybe she's like pretending to be somebody else, and it's like a romance as far as I'm aware. That's what I've heard other people say about it. Haven't read it yet. Going to, which I'm excited about because Emergency Contact was one of the best books I read last year and I loved it, and I'm really, really wanted to read this one like pre-publication, but it just kept slipping away from me. I think because I had my hopes so high after Emergency Contact, I didn't want to read this one. And now I have to, and I know I'm going to love it. I really hope I'm going to love it. Oh, please let me love it. Okay, that's probably the best first pick I could have had. This has made me so pumped for the rest of them. And I knew about that one without looking it up. That's how excited I was for that one. Oh god, I picked two at once. Okay, we're doing a double whammy. Oh no. We've got Altar of Reality, which I can't remember anything about. I can picture the cover in my head. And we've also got Follow Me Back, which I don't remember anything about. Oh god. Okay, and pick 4. Contagion, which I don't remember anything about. Oh no. And the last pick for this month. I've got 2 again. I'm not picking 6. I'm not picking 6. Not If I See You First. So this is by Eric Lindstrom, who we did a Tragic Kind of Wonderful. I don't know if that is even in frame, but we have his other book here. I think this follows a blind protagonist, but I will look it up because I don't really remember much about it. Oh, okay, so we have some pretty good picks, I think. I hope. I mean, the first pick has made me so excited that I'm just happy that I picked it, because if I picked anything else first, I think I'd be really frightened. So Altar of Reality is by Mara Valderan, and it's a really short one. It's coming in 200 pages. 17-year-old Madeline has struggled with epilepsy for most of her adolescent life, leaving her something of a social pariah. Things go from bad to worse when she wakes up from her first grand mal seizure in an extremely unfamiliar world, but surrounded by familiar faces. Her hometown is in ruins, the aftermath of the Cold War turned hot. Thomas, the boy that stomped on her heart a year ago, and his brother Brandon have been hiding her away since the explosion that killed her parents. The Lord Commander, now running the Southern Territories, believes Madeline died with them, and the brothers need to keep it that way. The biggest problem? The explosion happened when she was 12. Madeline isn't sure what to believe. The brothers insist her memories must be of a dream life she created while in her coma, but when she returns to the reality she knows, they insist this war-torn world must be the dream. She doesn't know she's truly caught in the middle of a brewing rebellion or teetering on the brink of insanity. As she finds herself flipping between the two lives, her heart becomes torn between two versions of the same boy, and the lines between her realities begin to blur. That sounds like a lot to tackle in a 200-page book, so I'm hoping that the page count is wrong, because otherwise I feel like that could go terribly. But that definitely interests me. Sounds like a good start. Then we have Follow Me Back, which is by A.V. Geiger. As soon as I saw the cover, I recognised it. This is just over 350 pages, so again, fairly short. Tessa Hart's world feels very small. Confined to her bedroom with agoraphobia, her one escape is the online fandom for pop sensation Eric Thorne. When he tweets to his fans, it's like he's speaking directly to her. Eric Thorne is frightened by his obsessive fans. They take their devotion way too far. It doesn't help that his PR team keeps posting to encourage their fantasies. When a fellow pop star is murdered at the hands of a fan, Eric knows he has to do something to shatter his online image fast, like take down one of his top Twitter followers. But Eric's plan to troll Tessa Hart's Eric unexpectedly evolves into an online relationship deeper than either could have imagined, and when the two arrange to meet IRL, what should have made for the world's best episode of Catfish takes a deadly turn, told through tweets, direct messages, and police transcripts. I mean, I love anything that's kind of multi-style. I can't think of the word right now, but anything that's that kind of story that takes place in like a few different ways really interests me. So I'm very interested in this one. It could be one of those stories that goes like amazingly, it could be one of those stories that goes awfully, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. So Contagion is by Terry Terry. I haven't read a Terry Terry book in a while. She was actually the author that kind of suggested me start a book blog, because I used to work in a school library, and she came for an author visit and we were kind of talking about books and things, and she said, why not do book blogging? And then a year later I finally listened to her. I've read the first 2 books in her Slated series, never finished off, always wanted to reread it, but this is the start of a different series. This one's quite chunky, it's nearly 500 pages, so I'm glad that the first 2 were a bit shorter. Callie is missing. Her brother Kai is losing hope of ever seeing her again. Then he meets Shay, a girl who saw Callie the day she disappeared, and his hope is reignited. Their search leads them to the heart of a terrifying epidemic that is raging through the country. Can Kai and Shay escape death and find Callie? Sounds interesting. I'm not sure why it's quite that long, because it sounds like quite a simple premise, but I'm guessing there's going to be a lot more to it. And if the world is built as well as the world in Slated was built, it's going to be very interesting. So I'm excited about that one. And the last book was Not If I See You First by Eric Lindstrom. Just over 300 pages, so a good length. The rules. Don't deceive me ever, especially using my blindness. Especially in public. Don't help me unless I ask, otherwise you're just getting in my way. Don't be weird. Seriously, other than having my eyes closed all the time, I'm just like you, only smarter. Parker Grant doesn't need 20/20 vision to see right through you. That's why she created the rules. Don't treat her any differently just because she's blind, and never take advantage. There will be no second chances. Just ask Scott Kilpatrick, the boy who broke her heart. When Scott suddenly reappears in her life after being gone for years, Parker knows there's only one way to react. Shun him so hard it hurts. She has enough on her mind already, like trying out for the track team. That's right, her eyes don't work, but her legs still do. Doling out tough love advice to her painfully naive classmates and giving herself gold stars for every day she hasn't cried since her dad's death 3 months ago. But avoiding her past quickly proves impossible, and the more Parker learns about what really happened, both with Scott and her dad, the more she starts to question if things are always as they seem. Maybe, just maybe, some rules are meant to be broken. So this was Eric Lindstrom's debut, and I can remember everybody raving about it at the time. I'm really interested to see what it's like. It's definitely got an interesting premise. So I'm really excited, but I'm a bit scared about Altar of Reality, but I'm excited for the rest of them. Those were some good picks. So that's it for this TBR. If you like this video, please like it. You can subscribe. Find me on my socials down in the description, and I'll see you soon if I manage to survive reading this many books and possibly going back to work. Thank you for watching. Bye!